Imagine for a moment that you are at the edge of cliff, the wind is strong, but you feel perfectly grounded, calm and present. You hear your breath, feel your body and completely present in that moment. Now what if I told you that this profound sense of peace and present isn't just for when you are doing something extraordinary, when you are doing something very adventurous. You can be in the present moment now. You can feel, you can enjoy the present moment now. You can experience the present moment now. What if you live like this every single day, being in the present moment, being in the now? I have spent some time for peace, clarity, and purpose, seeking meaning in this chaotic world through books, experiences, and endless search. One book changed my perspective. That book is The Power of Now. It's written by Eckhart Tolle. I'm here today to share what I learned from this book. It's not just from reader's perspective. I definitely learned so many things from this book and I experienced so much difference after applying some of the things he mentions in this book. If you're someone who is looking for peace, who is looking for answers, I think this book is something you have to read. I definitely recommend everyone to read this book because this changed my views on so many things in my life. I definitely think this book helped me a lot. After reading this book, I was able to concentrate a lot. I was able to focus a lot. I understand so many things in my mind. I understood so many things that's happening behind the screens in my mind. I think this is a great book to read. Hey, I'm Aditya, working in VFX industry from last 2 years. I worked on few blockbusters. If you want to know more about me, check my IMDb page below. I'm figuring out my paths, learning new lessons, discovering the way just like you. On this channel, I share what I am discovering along the way so we all can grow together and make most out of our journeys. Eckhart mentions in this book, we all have been there, feeling overwhelmed by the constant noises, by constant to-do lists, by constant social media notifications. He mentions that when we are thinking about so much about what happens in the future, what happened yesterday, what we have to do, we completely forgot about this present moment. We completely forgot about what we can do now. We completely forgot about how beautiful this present moment is. How often do we truly experience the present moment? When I said present moment, it's not like the last second, it's not like the last 10 seconds, it's like the present moment. Did you ever feel like you're not being in the present moment? Like you're thinking about something, you're constantly thinking about what you have to do in like next 10 minutes, what you did in last 5 minutes. Did you ever feel like you're always thinking about something, your brain is always doing something behind you? You might be working or you might be reading something but you feel like you're thinking about something. Did you ever feel that way? I think that means you're not in the present moment. That means you're thinking about something. That means you're thinking about something that happened in past, or you're thinking about something you have to do in the future. So that means you're not in the present moment. When you think about it, it's really hard because you constantly think about something. It's not intentional. Your mind plays with you. Your mind makes you think about something. It almost feels like you're chasing the line. Life is just here. According to Eckhart in this book, we are constantly thinking about so many different things and we completely forgot what's happening now. We completely forgot how beautiful this moment is. After listening to this, you might be thinking, how do you do it? How can you stop this mental chatter? Because it feels like your brain is always thinking about something. You always listen to some voice in your head. Whatever you are doing, it always happens in your brain. And Eckhart mentions in this book, the only way to get rid of it is being in the present moment, being in the present, not at all thinking about anything. If you listen to some of the athletes like Chris Bumstead, they say when they are working out, they are in a flow state where they don't think about anything. They just completely focus on what they are doing. They completely focus on their workouts. That happens because they are completely in the present moment. Because when you are doing like 100 kgs bench press, if you are not in the present moment, if you are thinking about something else, it might slip and you might injure yourself. So you are forced to be in that present moment. It's not just that. At any time when you're hiking or when you're doing some activity which may make you injure yourself, at that moment you will always be in the present moment. You will always be really careful. At that time, if you see yourself, the amount of thoughts you get in your brain are completely less compared to the number of thoughts you get when you're idle or when you're not doing anything, or like just before the bed, or when you're working on something else. I think everyone in their life at some point experience this being in the present moment. That's why you know the difference between how it feels when you're in the present moment, how it feels when you're normal. Have you ever felt like weighed down by a past or recursive negative emotion that seems to drag you down every single time? What if I told you that emotional weight has its name and it's not you? Eckhart introduces a concept called pain body, an accumulation of past emotional pain that lives within us. Eckhart mentions in this book old wounds, regrets, and fear resurfaces, affecting how you feel and act in the present moment. Sometimes you act in a similar way just because you had some experiences in the past. Did you ever feel this? These emotions, when left unchecked, take your lives and dictate your reactions, dictate your actions every single day. Eckhart mentions in this book, whenever something reminded you of the hurt, you will feel the same type of anger, you will feel the same type of pain, because when you're thinking about it again and again and again, you're feeding your brain to feel the same kind of pain, same kind of anger. After reading pain body concept in this book, I realized I'm feeding those thoughts, I'm feeding that pain again and again every single time when I think about the past. I think it's the same for everyone. Whenever you're feeling something, whenever you're feeling something bad, when you're thinking about any past things, you are rewiring your brain to feel the same pain, same anger every single time. It's the construction of the mind, a collection of unresolved emotions tied to the past, tied to that specific thing. Eckhart also mentions in this book that it happens only when you're unconscious, only when you are not in the present moment. If you are in the present moment, you won't think about the past, you won't think about what happened in the past and what's happening in the future. So the past thing, what you're worrying about, loses its power on you. So you all might be thinking, how do we do that? How do we disconnect ourselves from the past things and be in the present moment? So Eckhart mentions a 3-step process to do that in this book. And the first step is recognize what's actually dragging you down, what's actually making you feel that way. Notice when you feel triggered or overwhelmed by those emotions. The second step is disidentify. Remember, you're not your emotions, you're the observer of that emotions. Create space between what you are and the pain body. You have to understand, when you are angry, things what you do are not you. You are doing out of the emotions. He also mentions in this book, the things you do when you're emotional are not you. Those all actions are driven by those emotions, and those emotions comes just because you're thinking about the past, you're thinking about that situation. And the third step is being in the present. And you might be asking how to be in the present, and I heard this from someone as well. By focusing on your breath or surroundings or sensations in the body, you will bring yourself into the now. This is not just mentioned in this book. If you know famous athlete like tennis player Novak, he also mentions in one of the interviews that whenever he is playing his game, he always focus on his breath, he always try to be in the present moment. He says that it brings him to the present moment, it brings him intense concentration. So it is well proven as well. It's the same thing Chris Bumstead says in one of the podcasts. So by knowingly or unknowingly, these athletes are doing this process, practicing this process, and trying to bring themselves into the now. That's why I like this book, because this book was written like years ago, and it has very good information, it has like very good knowledge about this. Eckhart mentions in this book, every time you observe the pain body without reacting to it, it weakens the hold on you. And he also mentions, over time, if you keep doing this, those old emotions lose their intensity and you'll get freedom from it. So I ask you a question, how much of your life you're missing out just because you're not living in the now? How much of your true potential is locked away just because you're thinking about your past, or you're thinking about what to do in future, what will happen in the future? Are you ready to take back the control and embrace the only moment that really matters now? Eckhart have an exercise in this book. He wants you to pause for a moment, stop reading all your emails, stop scrolling your Instagram reels, TikTok reels, and just be in this moment. Take a deep breath and just be here. He mentions that is your moment to reconnect with the essence of who you are. Eckhart mentions that the beauty of presence is not just in the meditation rooms or quiet rooms. It's in every single moment of your life. It's in your interactions, in your work, or in relationships, or even the tasks you do normally ignore. Think about it, how many times you catch yourself trying to multitask but you fail. Because when you're multitasking, you're not being in the present moment, or you're not being in one moment. You're trying to be in 1,000 different moments at single time. Eckhart asks you in this book to think about who you are. How do you define yourself? Is it by your job, or is it by your achievements, or is it by your failures? What if I told you most of the things you think about yourself are not you? They all are imaginary things that were created by your mind. Eckhart mentions in this book, ego is false sense of self built around our identity, accomplishments, and insecurities. It's the voice in our head that constantly compares, judges, and fears. The ego is inherently bad, but it's more bad when it's running your life. Eckhart mentions in this book there's so much of the stress comes from worrying about what others thinking, how to make something so others will validate you. The ego thrives on these patterns and keep you trapped in the cycle of striving and dissatisfaction. Eckhart mentions in this book that ego is time bound. It exists in past and future, but has no power in the present. When we are in the present, we transcend the ego and reconnect with ourselves. Eckhart mentions in this book how to quit the ego. The first one is awareness. Notice when your thoughts are ego driven, or you're comparing yourself with someone, or you're trying to achieve something because someone will give you that validation. He says these are the signs ego is at play. And the second step he mentions is disarm it. Don't engage with the ego, don't fight it, just observe it. If you try to fight it, or if you try to do something about it, it will hold power on you. You will keep thinking about it, and it will be on your mind for more longer. And the third most important thing is practice the presence. The more present you are, the less ego you will have. Now let me ask you, how often you let your ego drive your actions? Imagine a life free from that constant chatter in your mind. A life where you can simply be without any pressure or expectations or labels. What would your life look like if you be in the present and get rid out of the ego? Have you ever tried to control your situation and failed? And you feel like the more you're trying to control it, the more you're losing power on it. And the more you're trying to control it, the harder it's becoming. What if the secret to peace isn't control? Eckhart mentions in this book the secret for it is to surrender yourself. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means accepting the situation, accepting the present as it is without resisting. Think about a time where you fought against reality. That can be a traffic jam, or a difficult conversation, or an unexpected challenge. Does it help when you're resisting it? Does it help when you're fighting it? No, I don't think so. I think it increases your frustration more when you think about it more. Eckhart mentions in this book that you have to surrender to the situation and accept as it is. Eckhart mentions in this book, when we resist the present moment, we create suffering, but when we accept the situation as it is, we are free from ourselves from the pain. Eckhart emphasizes the power of surrender as a way to align flow of the life. Here's the three things Eckhart mentions in this book you can practice. The first one is acceptance. Start acknowledging the situation without judgment and say to yourself, this is what it is and it is happening and you cannot change. And the second one is the non-resistance. Instead of trying to change the situation or escape from the moment, allow it to unfold. Resistance only strengthens the discomfort. The third one is being in the present moment. Bring your awareness to the now. When you're in the present moment, you can respond to the situations more effectively. Eckhart mentions in this book, surrender doesn't mean doing nothing or giving up. It means acting from a place of clarity, peace, rather than fear and resistance. So I ask you again, are you ready to embrace the stillness lies within you? Are you ready to unlock that potential? Are you ready to silence that mental noise, to let go of the past and the future? If you really want to learn more about this, I will definitely recommend you to read this book. This book will teach you so many things. I think I briefly touched few parts in this book, but if you read this book, you will really love it. You will really enjoy it. By integrating these lessons you learn from this book, you can begin transform your life. Remember, it's not about trying to be someone or achieving something. It's about trying to be now, trying to be in this present moment. I'm really happy that I read this book. This book really helped me a lot, because before reading this book, I kind of don't know what's happening. Why do I always get the thoughts, and how to get rid of the pain, or how to get rid of the thoughts I get every single day. But after reading this book, I really got so much clarity about what's happening, why am I getting those thoughts, and what I can do to get rid of those thoughts. There are so many things in this book that you can really practice and you can really achieve being in the stillness, being in the now. And I do say like it's very hard being in the present every single moment. I try my level best, but it is very, very hard. If I'm doing it, I would be some Russia or something, but it's really hard. But reading this book, trying to do what he mentions in this book really helped me to be in the present moment. And I started doing meditation as well, so I'm trying to be in the present moment whenever I can, and it's definitely helping. I really encourage you all guys to read this book and try to practice some things that really mentioned in this book. Practice some of the things so you can really experience some of the beautiful things. You can really experience the flow state I was talking about in my old video that I'm going into when I'm playing cricket. I don't know how to explain this, but after starting to practice this being in the present moment consciously, now I can be in the present moment when I'm playing cricket now. Because the biggest hurdle for me when I'm playing cricket is I think about so many things, so I cannot focus, and it's very hard to control during that time. But after reading this book, I realized when I'm being normal, or when I'm not doing anything, or like just working, or just woke up from the sleep or anything like that, when I'm not able to control all these thoughts, I can't expect my mind to be in a controlled manner when I'm in those situations like playing cricket or some adventure. I think after reading this book, I definitely realized it. I really encourage everyone to read this book to learn more about how to be in the now and what is the power of now. So take a deep breath and welcome the power of now. So if you like this video, you know the drill. Like this video, share this video, subscribe to my channel. I will come back soon.